In this video, we're going to talk about how to summarize categorical data. So remember that categorical data is data that is collected about individuals, and the values of the variable for the different individuals are something that's easy to group into categories. So for example, in this screenshot of this spreadsheet, we have a number of different respondents are the different individuals or elements in our data set. And each respondent has been asked what their favorite show is, their favorite television show. And they've responded with several different shows: Desperate Housewives, Without a Trace, CSI, and Law and Order. So if we want to summarize the data that we've collected here for this number of respondents, usually what we would do if we are trying to summarize categorical data is by making a frequency table. So this is what a frequency table looks like. So we have all the different possible values of our variable, so all the different possible answers to the question, what is your favorite television show? And in this data set, there were 4 possible values showing up in this column of data: CSI, Desperate Housewives, Law and Order, and Without a Trace. And then we simply count the number of individuals that gave each of those different responses. So the number of individuals in each of these categories. So this, for example, 13 is the number of respondents in the study that liked Desperate Housewives the best. Sometimes when we're constructing a frequency table for a categorical variable, we include relative or percent frequency information. So there's another column now added here that shows the percentage of respondents that liked these different shows the best. And you'll notice that that percent frequency adds up to 100. And the total number of respondents in the study is the sum at the bottom of that frequency column. So there were 50 respondents in the study. 13 of them liked Desperate Housewives the best. That's 26% of the respondents in the study. Okay, so once we've created our frequency table, which is shown down here in the lower left, we typically will want to visualize it with either a pie chart or a bar chart. So a pie chart looks like this, and the idea is just that the slices of the pie are different sizes corresponding to the proportion of the data that fall into the corresponding category. So that big blue slice represents 36% of the area of this circle, and the idea is that that visualizes for us and helps us understand what it means that 36% of the respondents liked CSI the best. An alternative to a pie chart for visualizing categorical data is a bar chart. So here's a picture of a bar chart for this same data, and we've simply got 1 bar for each of the possible categories, so 1 bar for each of the different shows that were among the responses, and then the height of the bar is just determined by the number of respondents. So in these 2 examples, we have the percentages, so the percent frequencies shown on the slices of the pie, and we have the actual frequency, the number of respondents in each category, shown on the bar chart. But we could easily make a bar chart that showed the percent frequency as the labels on the vertical axis, or a pie chart that showed the actual numerical frequency in terms of the count of participants in each of the different categories. Excel makes all of this very easy to do, and I'm just going to take a minute to show you how to do it. So let's go over to Excel now, and I'll show you how to construct a frequency table and a visualization of it very quickly in Excel. So here we have our data. So we have 50 respondents. I've got my cursor in the A1 cell. If I do Control down, that'll take me all the way to the bottom, the last non-empty cell in this column. I can see that I have 50 respondents by doing that. And I have what they listed as their favorite television show for each of the respondents. Over here I've already typed in the names of the different television shows that they could have answered in this study. And what I'm going to do now is just build my frequency table. So I'm going to add a title here for this column. I'm going to call it frequency. And then I'm going to use Excel's COUNTIF function to count cells that have a certain property. So this is how it works. I'm going to just type equals to start the formula, and then I'll type COUNTIF. Once I see it come up, I can press Tab to autocomplete and open the parenthesis. And now I have to tell Excel what range of cells I want to have it count. I want to have it count the cells in column B, so I click on column B, and then I'll put a comma. I want it to count the cells in column B if they match this criteria, that they are actually equal to the value that's shown in this cell. So I just want to count the cells in column B that contain name of this show, CSI. So I close parentheses, hit enter, and Excel tells me that 18 entries in column B match this cell that I've referenced in the criteria. So now I can use the autofill handle to drag down, and now I've got my correct frequencies listed in each one of these cells. If I come down here and bring my cell down to the bottom of this column, and then just click from on the Home tab this summation symbol, Excel will automatically guess what I want to do in that cell. It's going to guess that I want to sum up the cells above it, which I do want to do. So I hit enter, and now I've got, you can see in the formula bar, the sum formula that just is totaling up the number of individuals that fall into those different categories. Once I have the total, it's easy to compute the relative frequency for each of these categories. So to compute the relative frequency, I'm just going to take the number of respondents that said that they liked CSI the best, and I'm going to divide that by the total number of respondents. And then I can just hit enter, and I'll see that I've got 36% of my respondents said they liked CSI the best. Now if I come back up here to the formula bar and I insert dollar signs in front of the F and the 6 on this cell that is referencing the cell that contains the total number of respondents, and hit enter. Of course my 36% hasn't changed, but what I've done here is I've made a static reference, an absolute reference to cell F6, so that when I copy down, if I arrow through these, I'll see that while the first value in the formula is changing as I go down through the cells, the second one is staying the same. That F6 is fixed by those dollar signs, so it won't change. I always want to be dividing by 50 when I compute my relative frequency, so I want 13 divided by 50 to get this 26%, 9 divided by 50 to get this 18%, and so on. Okay, so once we have our frequency table, it's easy to make a graph of the information that we've computed here. So what I'm going to do is just highlight this region of this table. I'll click the Insert tab, and then I'm just going to ask Excel to recommend a chart, although I could easily just pick a pie chart. So I click on the pie chart and say OK, and Excel has now generated a very nice little picture of a pie chart for me. If I want to have the numbers show up on my different slices of pie, I'm going to add the chart element, data labels. I'll just pick best fit here. And then I can go through and do some formatting of those labels if I want to. So right now I see in this chart 10 respondents said that they liked Law and Order best, and 18 respondents said they liked CSI the best. Alright, so if I wanted to make a bar chart, it's basically the same thing. I'm just going to highlight the region of things that I want to plot, click Insert, and then the bar chart.